can't take, look at here, man. We got the big brothers in the house, man. We got our Moorway founder, Boom Church in the building. Welcome here, Moorway. We got the big come on, man. Boy, looking good over there with that thing. Boy, I'm trying to get mine like that. Boy, you see I done switched up on them.
Oh,
you ain't know who I was, did you?
Hey, man, according to Tori, you're supposed to be shaving your head.
Hey, my Nazarite vow is over.
Right.
And I may just give me a little drink of wine.
I see Rick right over Rick. I'm loving that Malcolm X, man. I'm loving that. Oh yeah, man.
Uh-oh. Yeah. But Kingdom Anointed custom neck pieces could work that out for you.
But that's the shirt and the hat is popping with the chain.
With the chain, it is.
It's popping, man. Maurice Sala gonna be proud, man.
That's right.
We doing well, man. Everything going good. I wish I had my plug. Rick, you got your plug? Got the plug? We can plug it in. Okay, cool. Man, this Atlanta traffic is like, what?
We had a funeral today. Pastor put us on program. We went out there. I'm coming back from Boulder Crest. I'm glad I don't live out here in Decatur. I'm talking about traffic is just like all lanes and like literally like it almost seems like the president is here. It's just all lanes. I'm like, man, I'm glad I do not live in Decatur.
That's where I grew up off. I grew up off of Boulder Crest.
Man, bro, it was. I got to 166 at 3 o'clock. It took me an hour to get here from 166.
Yeah.
That traffic everywhere, bro.
Yeah.
Well, it's hot.
Bro, the traffic is. It's like. It's no accident. I don't know.
People that folk that jet done hit, and it's nice weather.
Bro, I'm telling you, that traffic was ungodly, bro. Bro, an hour to go from 166 to here.
Yeah.
Wow. I was messed up.
I almost didn't show up. I'm glad I did, because me and my wife, I was like, brother, Israel's coming. I said, you know what? I said, Derek gonna come. I said, we literally going.
See if that box can come out, son.
This one here?
Yeah, pull it out this way, son.
That's about it, though.
That's about it. You might have to go old school.
I was like, let's just go hang out, She was like, oh, this traffic. She was like, no, you better go ahead on. And I was like, no, you sure? I was like, say that, it'll be all right.
Oh, snap. It probably could right there, though.
Yeah, I haven't had to blow my horn at somebody in about 3-4 months.
Wow.
Until I got down here.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's
No,
really
you
good.
Yeah.
Lights turning green, people sitting.
Everybody, can y'all hear that?
I didn't even plug in or nothing.
You gotta turn it on.
Yeah, let me try that.
Use it well. Gave me a weapon, y'all, to slay them demons in the spirit realm. Well, I was driving down Camden Road in my Cadillac, and it was as if my life had slowed down to a crawl.
Can y'all hear that?
I looked toward my right, and I saw that building. It said Mount Carmel Baptist Church. How many of y'all know God brought that thing back to my remembrance? He said, remember when you said that you felt that, pastor, and you can go to that church? You ain't got no excuse now. So I bust a U-turn in that little car dealership right next to the church, and I went into the parking lot. Looked up at the marquee, it said Friday night Bible study. Well, the next day I showered after work and changed clothes, and I went to church and joined. And it was sometime later, we were having a anointing service that Sunday evening. Of course, your boy went. I had my hands high, my eyes closed, and I was praising the Lord. And somebody grabbed my hand. How many know I came up out that spirit? And then under the unction of Dr. Reverend Timothy Fleming Sr., them hot coals to my lips. He said, take him and set him over there on that front pew. You know, that one right there by that piano? It even came with that extra plate. And he looked at me, gave me a weapon, y'all. Looked at the congregation, he said, y'all, this young man gave me a weapon, y'all, to slay them demons in the spirit realm. This young man is now a new.
Yo, what's going on? You listening to Boom Radio in the building. We got a topic of conversation we're gonna deal with for about maybe a good 20 minutes, and then we're gonna switch gears. We have our special guest here, none other than Cuzzo in the building. The big Cuz right here, man. Big Cuz, but not
that literally too. Shalom.
You know what I'm saying? Shalom. I see the family. Shalom to everybody on YouTube watching there in the room. We got Moray Solid in the building.
I'm back in the house.
Yes, sir. Kingdom Anointed. Hey, I told Rick, I said, man, he popping with that Kingdom Anointed chain with that Malcolm X. That thing clean, man.
I do what I do.
You know what I'm saying? Got case up, Minister Case up in here in the building. So we're gonna definitely talk about this thing. It's the hot topic for the week. I've been seeing memes everywhere. Listen, man, I forgot to send. My wife sending me these memes. I forgot to send them to Rick because I know he'll find them hilarious. By him. But now I gotta warn you, okay? Let me just go ahead and warn you, okay? You are in a good place on this side of the glass.
Okay.
This room is the righteous.
Right.
If you on that side, that's the heathens. He is the certified heathen of the show.
The plumb line.
So we got to warn him.
Don't let him walk out there blind.
Right.
But now, Rick, good people, our
The
brother,
spinach is
man.
special.
But no, you need that. You know, you need people that's gonna ask the questions that the streets would answer, and we ask and skeptics would ask and things like that. So he bring balance to the show. We're gonna talk about this thing, and I meant to send this thing, send it to Rick. Listen, man.
Stomp.
Kirk Franklin, okay? Kirk Franklin, but what's been the funniest part are the memes.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen they put Kirk Franklin's face on Ike Turner.
Oh.
You know the
Come on, anime.
You know the one with Lawrence Fishburne with the mushroom wig. They did that one, and they did this remix of
Lord.
Well, it was the one song that they did when he's talking about you think stomp where you think gospel music going too far.
Yeah.
And then they started playing him cussing his son. Listen, I'm trying not to laugh at this, but listen, man, I just want to open up the phone lines. Call in. We got a conversation for this such about 20 minutes. Then we're gonna get into some historical things, none other than the historian in the building. So the number is 404-355-8699. If you are driving through ATL, just turn it on the Love 860
You're stuck in traffic, you
AM.
might as well listen.
Yeah, you on traffic, you might as well listen.
You in traffic?
So let me ask y'all brothers this. And I want to start with Rick. I want Rick to kick this off. Because Rick, I'm pretty sure I know Rick don't mind,
telling like it is.
Telling like it is. And, he just going to tell it like it is. Right?
That's right.
Rick, what was your perspective about the whole thing?
Initially, why has this been posted on social media? That's the main thing. One of the main things I have a problem with is us young folks putting everything on social media. It's another set of headphones right there too. It's another set right there. My second thing is I can't stand disrespect.
Oh, come on.
Disrespect is one of them things that will make me put my foot off in. So I understand that. But like I say, and clearly you can see there's an issue between him and his son.
Yeah,
some things they got to get worked out. But going to social media, I have that to me is the second biggest problem. But whatever they got major issues that they need to sit down with the mediator, because I don't think they'd be able to sit down face to face, especially right now, especially after you done posted me on the world, in the world. on the world, for the world.
Word on the street is that T.D. Jakes is supposed to be their spiritual counselor. That they've been in sessions with him over the years.
Well, I know. I forgot. Tony Evans is. I think
Tony Evans
is Kirk Franklin's covering supposedly, from what I understand. But I know Rick gave it like Maurice. Let me ask you this.
I say, don't act.
How would with this? How would let's go old school?
Go old school.
You know, you know, you from the state of Alabama.
Yes,
you know,
sir. Down.
if that would have happened, what would an Alabama father would have did? That's what I want to know.
As first of all, it wouldn't have been on social media.
Right.
Let's get that out.
Right.
Most of them, old school parents, they gonna take it to your face.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wouldn't have been over the phone. You know, all my uncles, my dad wasn't really in my life, but my uncles, my grandmother, all them, they would have came to your face and asked you if you had a problem with them right then and there.
Yeah.
And we're going to work it out right now. That way it ain't going to linger on, and we're just going to get it out the way. And if we got to duke it out, then that's what we're going to do. We're going to duke it out, and we're going to get over and go drink some beer or whatever else we do.
Right.
You know, that's old school way.
Minister Casey, was Kirk Franklin wrong in his response to his son? How would you would have handled that if your son?
I was about to say, who you asked? You asked in Case or you asked in Minister Case?
Right.
That's a difference. Okay, real talk. Okay, real talk. This is how, when I first saw it, this is how it got to me. I ain't gonna say God said because I don't want to be one of them. Inside my spirit, inside my being, I heard, give some grace. That's what I heard before, give some grace. Because the situation was done purposely and malicious by his son. That was a private conversation that your son chose to expose for whatever reason. Not condoning what the language, but I understand because I have an older son, not my oldest, but I have a son that tried me. That told me, what you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing. But you saying that because you 300-400 miles away.
Yeah.
So, if he could have, he
was up close.
No, it been a different story.
It might have been laying hands.
What? Holy Ghost. Yeah. But I get it because sometimes we can let our guard down and we can slip like that. And the only reason I think God was speaking to me, telling me to, hold my peace about prejudging or jumping on him, is because it's only by his grace and mercy that some stuff that I've done since being saved, since being in the knowledge of the truth, what we call, that he could have exposed. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't condone the cussing, but I can understand the reason and why. I can understand that, as a man, because his son is 33. So once you get that level, when you disrespect me as a man, then I'm no longer looking at you as my son in that instance. I'm looking at you as a man because you are a grown man.
Right. Call us 404-355-8699. If you are on YouTube, call in. We want to hear from you on this subject. So let me roll.
Now, hold on. Now, let me say that before I let you go. Let me say that. Let me say before I go. Don't get it twisted. I still know how to cuss.
Yeah,
all of us do. We ain't forgot. We ain't forgot how to cuss now. It's only that we just true to quote you other scriptures.
Yep.
Other than the book of cuss.
I want to hear from the historian.
No, Rick, I wasn't gonna let him get away, Rick.
No,
you talking about you too.
No, see,
he tried. Yeah. He wanted Don King everything.
Right.
No, we need to hear what the moray.
If Keenan.
Wait a minute, hold on, y'all moving too fast. You gotta pump your brakes.
Gotta build this thing up.
Reel
them on in, Rem.
You gotta slow down. You gotta let me gather my thoughts. You can't just throw me out there.
Man, you had a whole.
So let me ask, Benet.
Oh man.
If his son would have did that in ancient Israel,
stone him.
What would that Bible?
That's Torah.
So my dad's from Alabama too.
Okay. You know where I'm coming from.
Right. And actually, so he's a military dad, Army drill sergeant. And anytime we got our business, our instructions, it was face to face. It was like it was that spit. We was talking about that spittle. early today. So that's how we got our marching orders in the morning time. And I thought it was natural to have 4-letter words as part of your vocabulary.
That's right.
So with all that being said, so I can understand, that coming out now. But I do understand that, once you get into the walk, you put all that stuff away. But my oldest son, he's 15. So like most people would say, that's when they start smelling themselves.
Yes, sir.
And it's a couple of times I had to catch myself. So, what you. So, and like I say, it's a process.
Absolutely.
It's a process. So, I'm not gonna condone that sort of language, but like I said, I understand.
So y'all want to hear from me, right?
Let me set this up.
Okay, go ahead.
What if Keenan, the young King, he working, getting his own, get him a little car, come in late one night, and then who you talking to? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, you don't have to make the.
No, that's I gotta add a little fluff.
I mean,
to it.
this is not a. What you're saying is, it's not a made up scenario. Like there have been times. Okay, my son's 21 years old. So and from the time that
16,
17,
14,
15,
they get their little hair right now.
Yeah. Right. So there's been times where, some sucking teeth, some smacking lips.
Oh Lord.
That type of stuff. But I will say this, y'all. My son has ticked me off to the highest.
Okay. Yes.
But I've never responded the way Kirk did.
But Big Mama Dim, cussing was a part of my lifestyle in my house.
Listen, bro, growing up in the Baptist church, I heard in church the deaconess cuss the children out for running across the pulpit.
Because that was a no.
Yeah,
that's right.
Right there.
Yeah.
And everybody nobody said pause. People still flowed in conversation, and it was a loud cuss. So and this is me. I guess that's something that others may have to get delivered from or whatever.
Right.
But for me, I've never. Now I have who you think you talking to type. I swole up. But I've never used those type of words and things like that.
Can I flip this right quick? And I'm gonna get on out the way. We don't talk like that. But how many go to Steve Harvey's, other comedians, watch different programs, even listen to music, and that type of language is spewed out.
Right. Yeah.
And we condone it even in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can't really be. To me, it'll be hypocritical to jump on Kirk. Knowing that I'm finna go down here and listen to one of these comedians, and he gonna spit for an hour and a half, and every other word come out of his mouth is gonna be something that we consider as profanity. What's the difference? Yeah. Romans, the first chapter talks about that too, right? Yeah. So what's the difference?
We go to movies with all that stuff in there.
Exactly.
It's not like we throw our keys down. It's like, you know what? No, I'm not going. I'm not going.
No, I don't pay my $16.99.
$15.
Right.
And I'm gonna give it away.
Now, I heard somebody say that he didn't have a problem with the cuss words in the sense, but he had the issue, and I thought was kind of, okay, I can go with you on this. He had the issue with the way Kirk was cussing. Yeah. Because you can cuss, but then when you use that words to actually attach them to somebody, then that's when it becomes.
That person is in.
I mean, you could tell he was comfortable in the words that he was using.
See, that's what I'm saying.
So which tells you is that this is not the first time he's used those words. Probably not the first time of that day he may have not used it because he was comfortable in his language.
Yeah.
So and like I say, watching him and his son or watching the video, you could tell him and his sons got issues. So they've probably had these types of conversations before.
But here's the thing.
Not trying to make excuses for it.
Right. But here's the thing that got me, y'all. Kirk's wife, which is not his mother, was laughing in the background, which lets me know that she's used to hearing
But
them having these type of conversations.
She came out on I saw a video that she came out with the guy's mom, the one that he's not married to, but the child's mom. She's saying that she didn't like what he did, and she was speaking direct to him. She said, well, you know, he probably got some tapes of her.
That's what I'm saying. She's laughing about it like.
She's saying that this has been going on between them two for a long time. Like the whatever issue they have with each other.
Right.
This been going on for a long time.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when you start getting into the Bible talks about, even in one of Paul's letters, he said, listen, he talks about talked about the children being disrespectful to the parents. But he also says parents do not provoke your children
to wrath.
So in the household, we all have a responsibility.
Amen.
Our children must respect us,
And we must.
but we also must make that there's a level of class and integrity we must possess when dealing with our children.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's the thing. You know, it's been several times when we walk through the store, especially growing up. They tell you, look, don't go in there. Don't
Put your
touch
hands in your
nothing.
pocket.
Before you go in
Don't
there,
ask for nothing. Don't ask for nothing.
Right.
Don't touch nothing.
Now, how many times when y'all were coming up, you heard you passed a child on the floor crying, and everybody's still shopping, and ain't nobody that said what's going on? Cause everybody
He
knew.
didn't look like me.
But your parent. But here's the thing. Though. Your mama, when you walk past it, your mama said, "You see that little boy right there? You touch something, that's gonna be you." You at least one time got that said to you, and everybody kept shopping like it wasn't nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Cause it wouldn't. Cause growing up, like my mama used to tell me, "Well, you show out that, I show out
Yeah,
that."
where you gonna get it at?
And I remember when my son, we were little, we get ready to go in the store, look at dog. If you don't want me to show out, you don't show out.
Right.
Now, let me ask you, is it a cultural disconnect between the generation we grew up in
Oh, definitely.
and this generation?
Oh, definitely.
Hell yeah.
Because there was a culture in the community that if I came to
just
Rick
said it.
house,
You just
hanging
said it.
out with his kids, before we even hung out, my daddy and Rick had to get together.
They had to know each other.
Right.
And it was told, look, if my son get out of line,
Right.
You had the right.
tears behind up.
Right.
Because your son come to my house,
Yep.
I'm going to tear his behind up. So everybody in the community knew if you went to somebody's house, it was a possibility. If you got out of line, you're going to get your behind tore up, and they're going to call your daddy or your mama, and your mama going to tell you about it up there. She's going to call your daddy, and you better hope he wasn't at work when she called.
That only applies to us that was born in the 60s and late 60s and early 70s. I think once you got past 79, 80,
Yeah.
I'm just saying 79, 80, that they don't go through that no more. You know what I mean? And it is a big
Because
level.
people don't want you touching their kids.
What?
They don't want you putting your hand on their kids, and they don't feel like their kids should be obligated to do what somebody else grown up tells them.
Right.
You know, we had a total level of grown ups. We didn't even have to like the grown up.
It was
you could
communal.
respect them.
Yep.
Now kids don't even feel like they gotta respect grown ups.
Listen, I grew up, everybody was Mr. Anybody that was older was Mr. and everybody was Miss.
Right.
Or auntie and uncle.
That was Miss. I'm
hung
talking
out
about
at the
somebody
house?
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. No, sir.
But
Yes.
I bet you your parents instilled that in you.
Oh,
what I'm
overhand
saying?
slap to the mouth.
I got
Yeah.
Listen,
Without
man,
doubt.
you could get slapped in the mouth for just saying yes.
What?
I couldn't.
Sucking them teeth.
Not yes, ma'am. If you just say yes.
Yes. Without the ma'am. Listen. We couldn't even say, if you said something, you were telling the story, I couldn't even say you a lie.
Oh no.
I had to say you a story. I couldn't say you a lie.
A
A lie was a cuss word.
I couldn't say dang,
Dang,
darn,
shoot.
Yep. My grandma would say you substitute.
Close enough.
And I'm finna get you for substitute.
Sound too much like the real word.
Right.
So that's what I was told.
So I just think that's the thing. And I think what happened was we allowed the system, and we talk about this all the time, we allowed the system to come in and dictate our culture.
Right.
And that's through
In the
television, media,
community.
right, and all that.
But do you think that was by design?
Yeah, I do, which is that's a whole like we have to have a topic to talk about that.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna start, like when we start doing the Boom radios online, we'll be able to have time to kind of talk about these things, versus being here at the station.
Well, it's also law. They put into law where you almost can't discipline your own.
Right.
Man, you can divorce your parents.
I mean,
So now
How can
instead
the
of you
child
being able
divorce
to
the parents?
discipline them, they'll rather you see your child later on down the line in prison or dead, rather than you discipline and raise them up because you've been sparing the rod.
Did y'all get whipping from principals and teachers?
Oh yeah, I got a paddle. They
I
had
got
a
a
glass
good
paddle and a wood paddle. You decide which one you want. Do you want the glass or you want the wood? Open them.
Open up that hand.
And hey man, listen.
Oh no, this was
she went straight. I got mine straight on the tailbone.
me too.
Listen, my kindergarten teacher used to have a yardstick about 12 foot long.
That was called a yardstick.
They used to grab that thing and you cut up in
About
the
that
glass.
thick?
Yeah, you put your hand out. She used to take your hand up in the classroom.
No, they ain't did no hand when I was growing up there.
They did both.
They paddled. My principal had one of them long things with holes all the way through it. And you hear that thing whistle.
Yeah.
Now this may qualify as child abuse.
Yeah.
But one summer we staying on the street corner. Me and boy, we just hanging out. All of a sudden, my boy he bursts out the house. Ah! And he's in his undies. His father has an extension cord.
What?
Yeah.
Like the kind you plug into the wall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chasing him down the street. And we sitting there looking at him like, do you see that? Yeah, I see that. And of course, we kind of.
Bro, we done.
Hey man,
Extension cord,
whatever they can
flip-flop.
find at the time,
Yeah.
wherever you showed out at, how you showed out, that's how they gonna show out.
Whatever
they can find at the time. Yeah.
My
Whatever was closest to your mama,
Yeah.
that's what she used to whoop
They
you
call
with.
my mama
Spatulas,
drama
everything.
I ain't gonna lie. Boy, I used to get slapped so much I thought I was gonna be a crash dummy when I grew up. my mama would I was the one you to roll my eyes and all that. Slap. Backhand, open hand, front hand, overhead. I used to get slapped. For real.
Listen, we gonna say this and we gonna transition. You ever been a time when your mama called you and you didn't answer the first time?
And she snuck up on you.
And she, boy, the warning was the first hit.
Yeah.
You heard me calling you,
Off guard.
and you honestly didn't hear her.
Right.
It didn't matter.
I mean, it was a different way back growing up. But yeah, man. So we definitely gonna transition into
Pray for Kirk and his family.
Keep Kirk and his family in your prayers and whatnot. So definitely, man. It's rough out here.
So many.
Well, let me ask you this right quick before we transition, Moray. Is all the uproar because man put Kurt on such a high level, on high pedestal? And when I say man, I don't just mean man. I mean man and woman. People in general, they have put him up on a high pedestal because of what he do. Is that the cause of all this? All this?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
I believe so, because if it probably was me and you or something like that, people would have probably read about it locally, but it wouldn't have made a big deal about it.
Or if it was not necessary. I think you mean the church, quote unquote, put him up there because had he been a movie star or somebody that wasn't quote unquote saved,
Right.
it wouldn't have been that big of an issue.
No, because you remember a few years ago, Adrian Peterson.
Okay.
Because he spanked his child.
Okay.
And he came on. In fact, he was suspended.
But that's different than spanking. He don't consider himself to be saved and Christian.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying that's the quote unquote difference. Because you're looking at him, you a pastor, you're a minister.
A few years ago they did Creflo Dollar the same way.
When he was looking crazy on that mug shot.
You about to say something there?
Oh no, I was going to agree with my brother.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, so let's go ahead and transition. Anybody, anything in the comments or whatever? Let's go ahead and transition. We want to kind of get into some conversation about history, biblical black history. We want to talk about some slavery, the Inquisition. We want to talk about all that good stuff. We got our brother here, the historian here, and we want to kind of get in that. So, Benea, I'm pretty sure Rick probably gonna have some questions for you.
It's all good.
But so let's talk about this. How did we get on this side
With the water,
of the water?
I mean, I think most people, we can all start in the same place, whether you believe you're Israel or not. I mean, we all been educated in the public school system, and so going to public schools, they taught us that we were over in Africa, and they snatched us because we was the slowest, because the ones that was fast got away. But what I try to challenge people to do is to go back a little bit further than that, because the history doesn't just start at 500 or 600 AD. I mean, it goes back a little bit further than that. And as soon as you go back just a little bit further, I'm talking about maybe 50 years, you start to see a whole lot of things that start making you raise your eyebrows. Like, just like if you put on your detective hat, and if you were like me, you were kind of sleeping and then awake in history class, but the part that you remembered was that it was the Portuguese and the Spanish that kind of started off the transatlantic slave trade. So you start to do your detective work, and you say, well, let me look at Portugal and Spain to see what they were doing just before it kicked off, right? And then that's when things just start going wild, because you find out that the way I used to explain it in conferences was that it's almost like a bar fight. Like a bar fight, it started in a bar, spilled out into the street, went out to the city, but then when they retell the whole event, they just start at the city. Like, yeah, they were fighting in the city, but they don't tell you that, no, it started off in this bar down here off of Peachtree Street, right? So that's the same thing that how this history starts, because when you look at Spain and Portugal, like I said, like less than 50 years before it started, you start to find out that less than 50 years before it started, they are going ham on some people. Like a certain group in Spain and Portugal, they're persecuting them. They're enslaving them. We're talking about the Inquisition and stuff like that, but they were doing all kinds of stuff to them, and like I said, enslaving them, and then they start shipping them out to places. And then when you start to look at where they're shipping them out to, it's like, wait a minute, they're sending them to the west coast of Africa. They're sending them to Sao Tome. Wait a minute, that's where the slave trade got their ships from. They're sending people to those places, right? I mean, and it doesn't take a whole lot of analysis to figure out. Well, wait a minute. Well, let me see who those people are. Let's try to build a profile of who those people are, and I try to approach it like it's a missing persons case. Because our history is missing. Like, I have kids, so I watched all kinds of anime movies. What's that? Panda. What's the one with the panda?
Panda Express?
No.
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda.
And there's a point in Kung Fu Panda where the dad shows up and says, I'm looking for my son. Have you seen my son? And it's like, and the son shows up, it's like, yeah, I've lost my father. And they talk to each other and say, well, I hope you have fun. I wish you luck in finding your son. And the father said, well, I wish you have luck in finding your father. And everybody's just looking at him like, duh. Oh, come on, man. And they kind of walk away. And then the light bulb comes off. And they say, father, son. And they come and embrace each other. That's kind of like how our history is. Because our history it literally starts in Africa in 1600s, you pick your date, and then and bring it forward to today's date. But with in Spain and Portugal, when you're talking about the black Jews in Spain and Portugal, their history abruptly stops in Africa. Abruptly stops in the exact same places. I mean, the exact same places. And one of the things I find was that when people try to discount this stuff, when modern day historians try to tell it, they always go down the road of a couple of different things. One is they'll agree that, yes, stuff went down in Portugal. Yeah, we know that they persecuted the Brews. Yes, I mean, they may argue with you about the numbers. They'll say modern day researchers will tell you, no, it was just a few people. No, it was just, maybe 20,000, stuff like that. But when you pick up the old books, and I keep telling people, look at the old books, because that's where, for whatever reason, they felt a little bit more free to tell you what was going on. But, the old books will tell you there was hundreds of thousands. And I give the example of like an Ohio State football stadium. If you ever go to a college football stadium or a Falcons football game, just go there and just look around and look and imagine all the seats filled. There were 8 times the many people that's in that stadium that left. Wow. Like when they said y'all get out, because basically that's what happened. Like just before the transatlantic slave trade, Spain was like, all right, y'all got to go. Either you convert to Christianity, or you get baptized. If you don't, then y'all got to leave. And if you don't convert, and if you don't leave, then we're going to persecute you and kill you and all this other stuff.
So basically, you're saying that during the time of Spain and Portugal, they just gave them an option. Hey, and that was the option before they started shipping people out, or was it after they started shipping people
No, it was
out?
before.
Okay.
It was before. I mean, and that's the thing where the Most High is so amazing in that he'll use the same example over and over again. Like when the Jews were kicked out of Jerusalem, by Nebuchadnezzar. It happened on a certain day. It's called the 9th of Av. When in 70 AD, when the Roman general Titus came and sacked Jerusalem, it happened on the exact same day. The 9th of Av, kicked them out. Spain and Portugal, when they kicked the Jews out, when that edict came down, say, I'm sorry, y'all got to go. The exact same day, the 9th of Av. And that's how you know that these people are the same people, And this is the part that will literally make your goosebumps stand up. When you can connect the dots and say, all right, these were people living in Jerusalem. Like these were Jerusalem. They were the nobles. I mean, if you look at the scriptures, it says that like they were nobles, and I'm trying to think of some of the other the titles that they have, but they were the chiefs, basically the chiefs of Jerusalem. They were the ones that got kicked out. Like they were the ones that got moved over to Spain and Portugal. Of course, in the scriptures, it talks about them moving over to getting moved over to Babylon. But also, what you'll find is that, and this is one of the things that we bring forward, is that you can just look in books, and it'll say that they took a good portion of them over to Spain and Portugal. And even in the Bible, in the book of Romans, I believe it's chapter 15, something like verse 23. It's actually in that chapter, it's in there twice, where the Apostle Paul, he's going to Spain. The word Spain is literally in your Bible. Or when he's spreading the gospel, there's a certain people in Spain that he wants to take this to. Right, and those are the people that were taken from Jerusalem that the Apostle Paul is trying to spread this gospel to.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So during that Babylonian captivity, not only were Jews taken to Babylon, they were also taken into Spain.
They were also taken to Spain.
Because see, that's a great point, because you don't get that in Sunday school. Somewhere you get taught about going into captivity into Babylon, but not going further than that.
Right.
So then you would ask the question, okay, then how you get to Spain? Okay, you say Bruce was in Spain. How'd you get there? When? Where are the records? Where are the receipts?
Yep.
Yeah, it's interesting because we had the professor on from Morocco, and he was talking about how the Portuguese used Morocco as a slave port and transitioned some of the African Jews, as he called it,
right,
and shipped them out for as slaves. So when you say West Coast, so most people that think that we originate from the West Coast of Africa, and then we came to the Americas, is that they came from Spain and Portugal, and they were shipped to the West Coast of Africa. And then from there, they went to like Barbados and other areas, and then they transitioned over to the Americas. Okay, we got a caller calling in. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Eric.
That's
But
Eric.
He just started to sound like he was getting ready to answer the question, so I'd rather just listen to him go on, and I might have a question after that.
Okay. All right. Thank you for calling in, Brother Eric.
Yeah. So actually, and this is one of the things where, like, even in the last one of the last videos that I put out, I literally say, like, this is the greatest discovery of in modern history, and I truly believe that, and that is this: when the transatlantic slave trade was taught to us. It was taught to us from this fashion. Like when something happened, you had a king sitting in a chair somewhere saying, hear ye, go do this. So the command went out. Then they had to plan for it, and then they carried it out. It's almost like it's 3 sets. Declare it, plan it, and then implement it. Right. Our history was taught to us from the perspective of how they implemented it. Like saying, so yeah, over in Africa, they took you from here, and they got you from there, and then they sent you over there. But they never took time to read the actual edict. Wow. The commandment that caused the whole thing, and it's in the book. It's in the book.
Wow.
And especially in Portugal was given the west coast of Africa to that was their territory that was given to them by virtue of a edict from the Pope, and because of that, there's a couple of documents called the Manuelian ordinances. Basically, it's the ordinances or the laws that King Emmanuel put out there to start the transatlantic slave trade. So in the previous video, as far as like Hidden Hebrews, one of the things I did was that, with the help of a sister, a professor that was over in Portugal, also used a translations company to help translate the documents. But we literally went to the National Archive in Portugal, pulled those laws out. They're in Portuguese, and we translated. Because they all have like titles on them. And literally, the laws, you can tell like what sets of laws are for what because of the title. So the laws that specifically say, it doesn't say Africa, but it says Guinea. Okay. So there's just like 2 or 3 in there that says Guinea. And so those we expected to find the how-tos of what caused this whole African slave trade in those documents or in those laws. So when we took a look at them, we were kind of perplexed. It's like, well, wait a minute, these laws that talk about making prisoners of people is talking about the Jews. It wasn't just talking about just some like random Africans. It's literally, because like I said, most historians will agree that those laws that are on the books are referring to Jews. They call them lancados because those are the people that were kicked out of Spain and Portugal and came over to Africa. And so they gave them a couple of different names like lancados or degradados, stuff like that. But people will agree that those laws are for those people. And so one of the things I brought out was like, well, all right, but this law is for slavery about West Africa because it not only said, because it did 2 things. One is that it authorized the taking of these people. And it encouraged it. It's like, hey, not only go and get them, but if you go and get them, you can keep half their stuff. All we ask is that you give us half when you bring them in. And then it told them to bring them to some specific places, like bring them into Sao Tome and into like where Elmina is, like the Elmina castle is. The holding place where all the slaves were brought to. And then it didn't just stop there. Like if it went there, then you could say, okay, well, or maybe, slavery wasn't governed by these laws. Okay.
All right, caller, calling in. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Second Exodus.
Second Exodus, what's going on? Shabbat Shalom, brother. What's going on?
Shabbat Shalom. I enjoy everything that you all are doing. I appreciate it.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah, my question is, it's about the migration patterns because I noticed that on the old maps, the land of Judea keeps showing up in the west and central coast of Africa, as well as the Portuguese Jews who were taken either as slaves or fled, during the expulsion and Inquisition into West and Central Africa. So, do you believe that the Middle East is actually the origin of the Judeans or in the Israelites, or did we actually originate from eastern northeast Africa, somewhere around Egypt and Sudan, and just migrated throughout the continent?
Yeah, that's actually a good question because one of the things that we've seen, and I want to say there's been other I want to say historians in the subject. I mean they've pointed it out. I think one of the brothers, he was a French African researcher, but he pointed out the same thing. And basically, it's just that whenever Israel came out, even the Limba have done the same thing too. When they come out of an area, they'll sometimes name the new area that they're at after the old area, and that's how you can follow them because they may come to one place and they'll stop and they'll name that area the same place as the old area, migrate again, and that secondary area will still carry the same name of the old area, and so that's how they're able to track some of these migrations.
That's biblical though. You can see in Scripture where that type of naming places were done when they left different places.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks for your question, Second Exodus. We're gonna get off here and take some more calls. Call it in. All right. What's going on, everybody? Well, we are still flowing. Maurice, you got any questions? Rick, you got any questions?
I'm just taking it all in, bro.
Yeah. Very
you got a question, Rick?
Where is this stuff at?
In old books.
Where is this information? Because once before they had an archbishop on this show, and he was talking about, he ended up talking about some of the lost chapters in the Bible. So that's why I asked, where is this information? Where can we find this information? Because this information is so valuable to not only my being, but the world's being.
Right.
So where can we start to find some of this information?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, brother. Because one of the things that we tell people, I tell people like almost all the time, is that our history is in old books. And when I say old books, it's like when you get a book, you open it up, it has that title page where we got the title, author, and the publication date. I tell people to always look for books where the publication date is from the 1800s and older for the most part. I kind of refine that to say if you can find one that has a publication date of 1850 or older, that's perfect. That's better. But from the 1800s or older. And I also tell people to get books or material that focuses on Spain and Portugal, because of what we were talking about before. That's where the slavery started from. Slavery started from those two countries primarily. And if you just do those two things, find old books, Spain and Portugal, and you open it up and you look for things about descriptions of the Jews, one of the things you'll start to see consistently, it's not like it's going to be like a one-off. You'll consistently see that they are described as black people. Dark, they all kinds of synonyms: dark, black, swarthy, very dark, very black. Always, always, always. And I try to warn people, like, don't start looking at the German Jews. Don't start looking at the Ashkenazi Jews, because we aren't the same people. It's a different people.
That's right. Yeah. So real quick, and I'm gonna let me just case ask a question. So would this information be like? Because I know you said y'all pulled it from Portugal. From the do they have this information in the archives within the governmental structure, or is it easy accessible? I know some information that I've seen that I've looked for, it was available. Yep. But it was like $3,000.
Oh yeah.
And before, when you looked at it, it was like $300.
Right.
And all of a sudden it becomes
kind of like stock.
Yeah, a valuable commodity.
Somebody's searching for it.
Right, and then they just jump up the prices and some people can't even afford it. So
you're right.
Would you start like there on like searching for this within governmental structures on sites or libraries or stuff like that?
Yeah, I will tell you that it's all about the Most High's timing, because in Spain and Portugal, that document I was telling you about where the laws are, like, they were under lock and key. Like, it wasn't until I forget the date. It's something like maybe like 6 years ago the government took the wraps off. Wow. That just for the Manuelian laws. It's like, all right, you guys can have that, but of course it wasn't like a big fanfare. Nobody really knew about it. But when I started doing my research, and I teamed up with a retired professor in Portugal, I believe that Most High was leading me to ask questions. It's like, do you have these laws? And I kind of sent them over to her. Right. She's like, oh, you mean these? She actually came back. I was like, whoa, it was huge. But that wasn't the only batch of information that we were trying to get to, because King Manuel was big, because he was the king that was in place when the transatlantic slave trade started. Like, he started it 1501. But just real quick, King John the Third was the one where something big happened. Something big happened when there was like a big second exodus of brews that came out of Spain and Portugal in particular, and came over to the Americas. And that was in, like, I want to say 1548, 1546. So we were trying to get a hold of his documents, but those are still under lock and key. So she submitted a request, because basically the only way you can get to it is that you have to submit a request to the government.
Right.
Hadn't heard back from her.
Wow. In this case, somebody called me.
Caller, you on the air?
The title of the book is called Race and Slavery. It was put together by Stanley L. Ingerman and Genovese back in the early 70s. Genovese, he's dead now. He just died in the last 15 years. Former professor at Emory University, and it'll help you get a good start on what he's describing to you right now, because his papers are still over there at Emory University, and they're not going to charge you a bundle to try to get them. I'm saying this because I'm a student of the Brazilian slave trade, so I know what the Portuguese did, and time is short, so I'll go back.
What's the name of that book again, Eric?
It's called Race and Slavery by Stanley L. Ingerman, and I forget Genevieve's first name, but he was a professor at Emory University. This man probably knows what I'm talking about. You know the book, don't you?
I have to go back to the archives, my brother. I got like hundreds of books.
I'll send it to you if you don't remember it. Rick.
Okay.
Listen, Brother Eric, you be calling in talking about the financial stuff and all the other medical stuff. Why you ain't never call in and talk like talk like this. Did it take for us to bring somebody else in to talk, and then now you went, let me drop this on them though. You been holding back. Listen, Eric, I done told you, and I'm gonna say it again today. Don't call back up here again unless you're willing to come up here. All right? You done showed your hand too much now. Now it's time for you to walk up here. I don't care if you got to put on the mask. Turn into the mask singer, man. Put a mask on and come up here. Nah, we thank you for calling in, brother Eric. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, if you could come back again, could you come back again? Could you give heads up that he's going to be coming back on the air?
Yes.
Okay.
And we going to see about getting him on in the barbershop for some history lesson in the barbershop.
Yeah. You going to get both of them in the barbershop?
Yes.
Okay. All right, man. Appreciate it. Go ahead, Mr.
That was a question I was going to ask because you mentioned the Manuel documents, and he was a king at that time.
Right.
And surely there had to be other people that were in power in other places. Have you guys checked, let's just say, for the French and whatever other nations that had kings that was writing edicts at that time and kind of like try to pull from those resources?
Yeah, the only thing we've done so far is, so to your point, so King Manuel was king like in the early 1500s. Then you had a succession of kings after him, and so because one of the things that we wanted to do was to see if the laws that he put on the books, like were they only on the books as long as he's alive, there, or did the other kings inherit it from him? And what we saw was that it was inherited. Okay. I mean, it stayed on the books. Okay. That law that said who to get. And like I don't know if I got a chance to finish, but it not only said who to get, but it said where to bring them to. Then it also said where you can get slaves from.
Wow.
It was all in the same law.
That sounds like it was orchestrated.
All in the same law. You can get slaves from these people. You can take them to these people, and if you want slaves, go and get slaves from these locations where they bring them to.
Wow.
Well, family, we about out of time, man. I'm telling y'all, man, we definitely gonna get this thing started with this Boom Radio online. But we definitely gonna have Benea back, man. We're gonna look at the calendar and get with him and see about him coming back. Again, I know Rick gonna have him in the barbershop on a Friday night, and and so that's gonna be awesome, man. Definitely, y'all got anything? But then go ahead and get about your information, YouTube channel, all that type of stuff, man.
Yeah, well, praise the Most High. Thank you for having me. Because if you just want to get some more information, just check out Benai Israel. The main platform is on YouTube. So if you just put in either Benai Israel or search for YouTube, I tell people look for the lion icon. Same thing with Facebook. It's Benaiah Israel on Facebook.
Please spell that.
Oh, okay. BENAYAH. That's BENAYAH. Israel. Like I said, on YouTube, on Facebook. I try to drop some videos every once a month, but this last one's been been a work in the making. So just tune in and we'll drop some more videos here soon.
All right, cool. Rick, go ahead.
You know where you can find me Friday nights, 8:30 to 10, barbershop talking randomish. Ain't nothing but some good old fashioned barbershop style conversation. My brother, I definitely after a Friday we can get you in here because won't nobody know where the hell they going to. and this is not only my history, but it's the world's history. So
right.
I would love to educate my community and the world on what you got to tell them because we need this. We need this.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead, Case.
Check out your boy Righteous Music. Got songs dropping Monday or Tuesday. Chosen and Your Presence. Oh man, I got something in store for y'all for Passover.
Okay. Go ahead, Maurice Allen.
Yo, you already know who it is. Kingdom Anointed, custom neckwear, Kingdom Anointed, script tees. Holla at your boy.
Strip tee.
Script.
Oh, you
take Bitcoin?
Yes, VIP, like scripture.
Oh, okay. I'm about to say, you can make it plain around here. Keep it in the context.
You can't get Rick.
I leave that up to Rick for the script tees.
No, you can't get Rick no ammo. Yeah. No, but definitely holla at me, man. Boom Church on YouTube. Boom Church on YouTube. This has been Boom Radio. It's been an awesome show with everybody here, man. And so thank you all for tuning in. Also, you can find us on Facebook, Believers of One Messiah Church. And come visit us sometime if you're in Atlanta. Come visit us on Saturday. If you need more information, email us at boomchurchint@gmail.com. Thank you all. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Here comes the shoot you right down.
During these unprecedented times, we know you're all worried about your family's health, your job, and paying your bills. Stop the endless debt cycle.